In the land of Yorvin, the word monster was reserved not for the dragons that circled the volcanic peaks of Drathnor, nor for the sea beasts that lurked beneath the churning waves of the ocean of storms. Here, the term referred to a creature far more peculiar, one whose very existence challenged the natural order as dictated by the ancient tomes and the edicts of the Elden Council. This creature was known as Silthar, the being of many eyes. Silthar was not born of Yorvin, nor any known realm on the peripheries of the great map. His origin was as mysterious as the blackest night, and as unsettling as the void between stars. Unlike other beings that roamed the woods or soared the skies, Silthar possessed qualities that defied the elemental laws. His body could shimmer with a translucent glow one moment and turn as hard as the oldest rock the next. Despite his fearsome appearance and the unsettling number of eyes that adorned his form, each capable of peering into the soul of those they fixed upon, Silthar harbored no ill will towards any creature. His presence in Yorvin was marked by curiosity and a gentle demeanor, traits that somehow only deepened the residents' mistrust. Over the decades, Silthar's existence attracted not only the fearful glances of villagers, but the keen interest of scholars from the Academy of the Arcane. Meanwhile, tales of the monster of Yorvin wove through the tapestry of folklore across the neighboring kingdoms, each embroidering their own version of dread and peril associated with the creature. However, one group viewed Silthar not through a lens of fear, but with a perspective of wonder and opportunity: the humans of Yorvin. Unlike their elven or dwarven neighbors, humans had no ancient ties to the magical realms nor lingering oaths to elder gods. Their alliance with Silthar was born of pragmatism and a shared sense of otherness, as many of the humans were settlers from distant lands, once outcasts themselves. As the first autumn leaves began to fall, marking the end of the harvest moon, a clandestine meeting was convened at the edge of the Whispering Woods, near the ancient ruins that some whispered were older than the woods themselves. The meeting was comprised of representatives from the various realms: elven archmages, dwarven warriors, mystical druids, and a single human, Elias, a scholar with a keen interest in forbidden lores. The elves spoke first, their voices smooth and melodious, carrying a tone of deep concern. "The creature disrupts the balance," argued Finel, an archmage adorned in robes that shimmered like the morning dew. "His very existence is an anomaly that could unravel the fabric of our magics." The dwarves, stout and resolute, nodded in agreement. Their leader, a grizzled warrior named Throm, slammed his gauntleted fist onto the stone table. "It's unnatural! No being should wield such power without the sanctity of our ancient laws." The druids, ever the mediators, expressed their reservations more thoughtfully. "We must consider the possibility that Silthar is simply a guardian of some forgotten natural order, not a disruptor of it," murmured Elowin, her eyes reflecting the deep greens of the forest. Elias, feeling the weight of his isolation in this gathering, cleared his throat. "What harm has Silthar actually caused?" he asked, pushing his glasses up the bridge of his nose. "All fear him, yet he has harmed none. Perhaps we should consider the benefits of his abilities. Imagine the advancements in knowledge and magic his uniqueness could bring." The others exchanged wary glances, unprepared to align their fears with the curiosity of the human scholar. As the meeting concluded under the eerie light of the twin moons, a plan was reluctantly formed. A party would be dispatched to observe Silthar, to study him in secret and ascertain the threat or potential he might represent. Unbeknownst to the council, Silthar himself watched from the shadows, his multitude of eyes glinting with an otherworldly intelligence. He had understood their languages and their fears since the moment he had appeared in this world. Now more than ever he realized the precariousness of his existence amongst them. As the delegates dispersed, the air thick with unspoken alliances and suspicions, the stage was set for a confrontation that could alter the very essence of Yorvin. Elias, with a determined step, made his way back to the human settlements, his mind buzzing with strategies and a burgeoning sense of a duty to protect not just Silthar, but the potential bridge he represented between the unknown and the known. Thus began the tale of Yorvin, a land where fear and fascination intertwined like the roots of the ancient trees, each waiting for the winds of fate to determine their end. The autumn winds carried a chill that seeped into the bones of Yorvin's inhabitants, a harbinger of the looming winter. Elias, the human scholar, felt the weight of the task ahead as he prepared for the expedition to observe Silthar. He gathered a group of unlikely allies, each driven by their own reasons to join this secretive mission. Among them were a young apprentice mage named Lyra, whose thirst for knowledge outweighed her fear of the unknown, and a grizzled veteran mercenary, Gorn, whose past encounters with the supernatural had left him both wary and intrigued. As they prepared, the city around them buzzed with rumors about the so-called monster of Yorvin. In taverns and marketplaces, tales were spun and retold, each iteration more fantastical than the last. Yet, amidst the fear and superstition, there was an undercurrent of curiosity, a testament to the human spirit's unyielding desire to understand the mysteries of the world. Meanwhile, in the heart of the Whispering Woods, Silthar remained hidden, observing the world through his myriad eyes. His perception of time and space was unlike that of the inhabitants of Yorvin. He saw the ebb and flow of energies and emotions, the vibrant tapestry of life that connected every living thing. Silthar knew he was the subject of much debate and fear, yet his purpose in Yorvin, or if such a purpose even existed, remained a mystery to him as well. As the party ventured into the denser parts of the forest, the trees seemed to lean in, their branches whispering secrets of the ancient world. Lyra, ever the inquisitive soul, attempted to communicate with the spirit of the woods through her fledgling magical skills. To her surprise, the forest responded not with words, but with feelings, echoes of ancient guardianship and a profound sense of disturbance, a disquiet that had settled with Silthar's arrival. Gorn, with his hand resting on the hilt of his sword, watched the shadows, his experience as a mercenary making him acutely aware of the dangers that lurked in such places. "Keep your wits about you," he murmured to the group, his voice barely a whisper. "This forest holds more than just our quarry. It's alive, and not all that lives here views us kindly." Back in the councils of the realms, plans were laid with care and caution. Fennel, the elven archmage, met in secret with Throm and several other leaders. Their discussion was fraught with tension as they contemplated the ramifications of their decision to observe Silthar. "We must understand this being before we can decide its fate," Fennel insisted, her face illuminated by the glow of a single enchanted lantern. "But let us not be hasty in drawing our blades or weaving our spells against him." Throm grunted, his trust in the mission as brittle as dry leaves. "If this creature turns against us, it will be on your heads, elves. Your curiosity often blinds you to the dangers of tampering with forces beyond our comprehension." As Elias and his companions delved deeper into the forest, they came upon an ancient clearing where the moonlight seemed to pool on the ground, casting everything in a silvery glow. It was here that they first truly sensed Silthar's presence. The air tingled with a strange energy, a palpable sense of being observed by an intelligence far beyond their own. Lyra, stepping forward, reached out with her mind, her mage's senses tingling with the power that saturated the clearing. "He's here," she whispered, her voice a mix of awe and fear. "Watching us, just as we sought to watch him." Elias adjusted his glasses, his eyes scanning the shadows. "Then let us not appear as foes," he decided, taking a cautious step forward. "Silthar, we come not in hostility, but in hope of understanding and peace." The forest held its breath, waiting for the response of the being of many eyes. After a tense moment, the shadows shifted, and Silthar emerged, his form shimmering like a mirage, eyes glowing softly in the moonlight. His presence was overwhelming, yet not threatening, as if he too was curious about these bold creatures who dared to seek him out. Thus, under the ancient trees and guided by the moon's silent watch, a dialogue began. A cautious exchange between species, between worlds, that might just bridge the gap of fear and misunderstanding. In the heart of Yorvin, under the watchful eyes of the realms, the story of Silthar took a new turn, towards either a hopeful coexistence or a tragic clash, as dictated by the fragile threads of fate. As the silvery light bathed the clearing in the whispering woods, the exchange between Elias's party and Silthar marked a moment of unprecedented contact. Silthar's form fluctuated with his emotions, colors subtly shifting, revealing his mood and intent. This visual manifestation of his thoughts was both mesmerizing and enlightening for the humans and their companions. Elias, ever the scholar, took it upon himself to bridge the gap. "We have come to learn, not to condemn," he said, his voice steady despite the awe he felt. "You are not a monster, but a mystery, and it is in our nature to seek understanding of mysteries." Silthar's many eyes blinked in unison, a ripple of movement that seemed like a nod. His voice when he spoke was a symphony of harmonious tones that resonated in the air. "I am Silthar. I do not belong to your world nor to any that you know. I am lost between worlds, seeking my path home." Lyra stepped forward, her youthful curiosity overcoming her initial trepidation. "Can you tell us of your world? Perhaps in understanding where you come from, we can help you find your way back." Silthar's eyes glowed brighter for a moment, reflecting his thoughts as they turned inward. "My world is not like yours. It is a place of constant flux, where the land itself is alive, and every creature is a part of its ever-changing essence. I was a guardian of the balance, until I fell through a tear in the veil that separates the worlds." Gorn, who had been silent, his skepticism shadowing his features, finally spoke. "And how did this tear appear? Was it natural, or created by someone or something with ill intent?" "The tear was born of a cataclysm, a convergence of energies that could not be contained," Silthar explained. "It was an accident, a byproduct of the powers we wielded to maintain our world's balance. I was caught in its pull, and it brought me here." As the conversation unfolded, the group felt a shift in their perception of Silthar. No longer a fearsome anomaly, he was a being out of place, much like many of them had felt in their own lives. This shared sense of displacement fostered a budding empathy among them. Back in the council chambers, news of this meeting reached the leaders via hidden scrying spells and the whispered words of forest spies. Fennel felt a surge of hope. Perhaps this could be the beginning of a new era of understanding between their peoples and the unknown. Throm, however, remained unconvinced. "Empathy for a creature we barely understand could lead us to ruin," he argued. "We must prepare for all possibilities, including the potential threat he could pose if his kind seeks to follow him here." Meanwhile, in the clearing, Elias proposed a bold plan. "What if we could find a way to explore this tear in the veil? Perhaps with Silthar's guidance we could understand not only his nature but also gain insights into the very fabric of the cosmos." Silthar considered this for a long moment, his eyes dimming and brightening as he processed the idea. "It is possible," he finally said, "but the path to such knowledge is perilous and not all secrets are meant to be uncovered." Lyra, filled with a sense of adventure and driven by her desire for knowledge, was quick to support Elias's proposal. "But think of what we could learn, not just for our own sake, but to help maintain the balance here in Yorvin, and perhaps even help you return home." As the night deepened and stars peered through the canopy above, the group made camp in the clearing. Fires were lit, and around them, discussions of the universe and its mysteries continued. Silthar, more accustomed now to his companions, shared tales of his world, painting pictures of a vibrant, ever-shifting landscape that captivated his listeners. The decision to explore the tear was not made lightly, but as dawn broke over Yorvin, a new sense of purpose had taken root in their hearts. Together, they would venture into the unknown, guided by a creature once feared as a monster, now seen as a key to understanding the grand tapestry of the multiverse. This alliance, formed under the watchful eyes of nature and the cosmos, was fragile, yet filled with the potential to change their world forever. As dawn painted the sky with hues of amber and gold, the party broke camp, their spirits buoyed by a newfound resolve. Elias, Lyra, Gorn, and Silthar set out towards the heart of the Whispering Woods, guided by the cryptic directions of the Being of Many Eyes. Silthar had explained that the tear in the veil was not static. It moved as if it were alive, pulsating through the woods with a rhythm that mimicked the heartbeat of the world. The journey was fraught with challenges. The deeper they ventured into the forest, the stranger the phenomena they encountered. Trees whispered secrets in ancient tongues. The ground beneath their feet shimmered with unseen energies, and the wildlife watched with an intelligence that seemed almost human. Gorn, ever the skeptic, kept his hand near his blade, wary of the forest's intentions. "This place feels alive," he muttered, eyeing a vine that seemed to twitch as they passed, and not particularly welcoming. Lyra, on the other hand, was in her element. The magical energies of the forest fed her curiosity and bolstered her powers. She began to understand the language of the trees, translating their whispers for the rest of the group. "They speak of balance and disturbances," she relayed, her eyes wide with wonder. "They are ancient guardians of this land, and they sense Silthar's connection to the energies that disrupt their peace." Silthar moved with a grace that belied his size, his form shifting colors and textures with the changing environment. "This forest is not unlike my home," he explained. "It reacts to the emotions and intentions of those who walk its paths. It can sense your fears, your hopes, and your desires." As the day waned, they reached a clearing where the air thrummed with power. The ground was scorched in a perfect circle, and at its center, a shimmering tear hung suspended in the air, pulsating gently like a silent heartbeat. "This is it," Silthar announced, his voice a mix of awe and caution. "The tear through which I fell. It is a gateway between worlds, unstable and dangerous." Elias approached the tear, his scholarly instincts overriding his caution. "How do we explore this without causing harm to our world or yours?" he asked, his gaze fixed on the mesmerizing display of interdimensional energy. Silthar closed his many eyes for a moment, concentrating. "We must stabilize the tear first. If it remains unchecked, it could widen, pulling more of my world through, or worse, collapsing and severing the connection entirely." The task was daunting. Lyra stepped forward, offering her burgeoning magical skills. "Let me help," she said. "With your guidance, Silthar, perhaps we can weave a spell to contain and stabilize the gateway." Together, Lyra and Silthar worked to craft a complex array of magical symbols around the tear. Using the natural energies of the forest and the arcane knowledge Silthar provided, they began the delicate process of weaving their spell. Meanwhile, Gorn kept watch, his eyes scanning the perimeter for any sign of danger. The forest had grown silent, as if holding its breath, waiting for the outcome of their efforts. After hours of intense concentration, the tear shimmered and then stabilized, becoming a clear window to another world. Through it, they could see glimpses of Silthar's home, a world vibrant with shifting landscapes and skies that changed color with the winds. Elias, ever the documentarian, took careful notes, his mind racing with the possibilities this discovery could hold. "We've done it," he said, his voice tinged with excitement and relief. "Now we must decide our next steps carefully. This is not just a path to another world, but a bridge that could change everything." As they discussed their plans, a sense of unease settled over Gorn. "We must be vigilant," he warned. "Such power could attract those with less noble intentions. The balance we strive to maintain here could easily be tipped." As night fell and the first stars appeared in the sky, the group settled around the stabilized tear, aware that their actions had altered the course of their world. They were now custodians of a gateway between realms, a responsibility that they could not take lightly. The path ahead was uncertain, and each knew that the choices they made would resonate through both worlds, shaping the destiny of all who dwelled within them. The morning sun rose over the horizon, casting long shadows across the landscape as the forest awoke to a new day. The portal, now stabilized, held within it not just a view, but a beacon of possibilities and dangers alike. Elias and his companions gathered around the shimmering tear, discussing their next steps with a mixture of trepidation and excitement. Silthar stood closest to the portal, his many eyes reflecting its fluctuating colors. "The stabilization is temporary," he reminded the group. "Without constant vigilance and reinforcement, it could unravel, and the consequences could be catastrophic." Lyra nodded, taking in his words with a seriousness that belied her young age. "Then we must learn as much as we can, quickly. There may be a way to permanently secure the gateway, perhaps even harness its energies safely." Gorn, however, was less concerned with the portal's potential and more with its immediate threats. "We aren't the only ones who've noticed this anomaly," he pointed out, scanning the dense forest around them. "Word will spread, and it won't be just the curious who come knocking." Indeed, the consequences of their discovery were already rippling outward. Unbeknownst to them, a consortium of power-hungry sorcerers from the northern wastes had already caught wind of the portal. Their leader, a formidable sorceress known as Dravia, had her eyes set on harnessing the portal's power for her own dark purposes. Back in the clearing, Elias proposed a daring plan. "We need to establish a guard here," he suggested. "Not just to protect the portal, but to monitor any changes. We should also send word to the councils of each realm, seeking their wisdom and their aid." The decision to involve the realms was met with mixed feelings. While Elias saw it as an opportunity for unity and shared responsibility, Gorn viewed it with suspicion, concerned that involving too many factions could lead to conflict over control of the portal. Meanwhile, Lyra and Silthar began to experiment with the portal's energies. Using a combination of her raw magical talent and his knowledge of interdimensional physics, they crafted delicate sensors, magical constructs that could measure and analyze the energies flowing through the gateway. As they worked, Silthar explained more about his world, a place where magic was not just a tool, but a living element, integral to the fabric of reality. "My world thrives on balance," he said. "Every action, every use of power, is counterbalanced by a natural force. The tear was an accident, a result of imbalance. We must ensure we do not repeat such mistakes here." Lyra, fascinated by the concept, pondered the implications for her own world. "Perhaps we can learn from your world's ways," she mused. "Introduce a system of balance to our use of magic. It could revolutionize our understanding and practice of the arcane arts." The group spent several days at the portal, establishing a perimeter and setting up magical wards and alarms. Elias sent messengers to the various councils, carefully wording his pleas for support and collaboration. In his messages, he emphasized the potential benefits of the portal, as well as the risks, hoping to rally a unified response. However, as they prepared their defenses and continued their studies, dark forces were already on the move. Dravia and her followers began their journey towards the Whispering Woods. Driven by visions of conquest and domination, the sorceress knew that controlling the portal could give her unprecedented power, and she was determined to seize it at any cost. As the sun set on the 5th day, the forest seemed to hold its breath. The portal glowed steadily, a symbol of untapped power and looming conflict. Elias, Lyra, Gorn, and Silthar stood together, united in their purpose but aware of the challenges ahead. They were pioneers on the edge of a new frontier, guardians of a gateway that could either usher in an era of prosperity and understanding or plunge their worlds into chaos and war. The paths they chose now would shape the fate of not just Yorvin, but potentially countless other realms as well. As the stars took their places in the velvet night above the Whispering Woods, the sense of impending conflict thickened like a fog. Elias and his companions fortified their position around the portal, their actions tinged with the urgency of the knowledge that Dravia and her forces were approaching. Each member of the group brought their own strengths to the preparations, creating a mosaic of defense and diplomacy. Gorn, with his battle-worn prowess, trained a select group of volunteers who had answered Elias's call. These brave souls, drawn from various realms and possessing varying degrees of martial skill, quickly learned to move as a unit under Gorn's gruff instruction. "Remember, it's not about the strength of the individual," he barked during a particularly strenuous drill, "but the unity of the group." Lyra, meanwhile, deepened her study of the portal's energies with Silthar's guidance. Together, they wove complex layers of magical wards, not just for protection, but also to understand and perhaps control the flow of energy. If we can predict the portal's behavior, we can better protect it, Lyra explained, her hands moving through intricate gestures as she cast her spells. Silthar, for his part, continued to offer insights into his world's technology of balance, suggesting methods to stabilize the portal further. In my world, Guardians are trained to sense and respond to the slightest change in energy flows. You must be similarly attuned, he instructed, his many eyes scanning the horizon thoughtfully. Elias was tasked with the diplomatic challenge. He sent missives and emissaries to the councils of the realms, urging them to see the portal not as a threat or a tool for power, but as a chance for greater understanding and peace. His words, carefully chosen, spoke of a united front and the shared responsibility to safeguard all worlds involved. But as the preparations advanced, so too did the dark intent of Dravia. Cloaked by the night, her forces moved silently, a deadly specter inching closer to the heart of the Whispering Woods. Dravia's power was not just in her magic, but in her ability to inspire fear and loyalty in her followers. "The portal will be ours," she whispered, her voice a sibilant echo among her ranks, and with it, the power to dominate all realms. The tension culminated one crisp, starlit night when the first of Dravia's scouts, cloaked in shadows, stumbled upon the outer defenses. The alarms Lyra had set, subtle magical constructs that sensed the intent of those who passed, flared to life, bathing the area in a sudden glaring light. Gorn, ever vigilant, was the first to respond, rallying the volunteers to defend the perimeter. "To arms!" he roared, his voice cutting through the confusion. The battle that ensued was brief but intense, with Gorn and his makeshift militia managing to push back the intruders, though not without cost. Several defenders were wounded, a stark reminder of the seriousness of their endeavor. After the skirmish, Elias reassessed their situation, his brow furrowed with worry. Dravia will not be deterred by a single failed scout attempt. She will come, and soon, with all her might, he predicted, his voice grave. We must be ready to defend, not just the portal, but the ideals it represents. The group gathered, their faces lit by the flickering flames of the campfire and the luminescent glow of the portal. They shared a moment of quiet solidarity, each aware of the stakes. Silthar, his voice resonant with a calm certainty, addressed the circle. "This portal has brought us together, from different worlds and walks of life. It is more than a path between realms. It is a test of our will, our unity, and our courage." Lyra nodded, adding, "And it's a chance to prove that we can rise above our fears and ambitions to protect something greater than ourselves." As they fortified their defenses and prepared for the confrontation, the air around the portal seemed to pulse with the energy of their resolve. The night deepened, and the stars shone down on the Whispering Woods, silent witnesses to the human spirit's capacity for courage in the face of encroaching darkness. The stage was set, and the battle lines were drawn, as they awaited the dawn that would bring with it the storm of war. The forest seemed to hold its breath as the sun rose, casting long shadows between the ancient trees. Elias, Lyra, Gorn, and Silthar, along with their assembled defenders, stood ready, each knowing that today could mark a pivotal moment in the history of their realms. Dravia's forces emerged at the forest's edge just as the morning mist began to lift. Arrayed in dark armor, her sorcerers and mercenaries moved with grim determination, their eyes fixed on the pulsating light of the portal. Dravia herself rode at the forefront, her presence chilling, her power palpable even from a distance. Gorn tightened his grip on his weapon, his voice a low growl as he issued commands to his fighters. "Hold the line! Let them come to us! Remember, we fight not just for land, but for the very fabric of our worlds!" Lyra, standing beside Silthar, focused her energies on maintaining the magical barriers. Her hands moved through the air, tracing sigils that shimmered with power. Silthar, for his part, communicated silently with the natural forces of the forest, urging them to lend their strength to the defenders. As the first wave of attackers charged, the air crackled with the clash of magic and metal. Elias, though not a fighter, provided support by relaying strategic information, his eyes constantly scanning the battlefield for any sign of Dravia's approach to the portal. The battle raged throughout the morning, neither side gaining a clear advantage. Dravia's sorcerers unleashed powerful spells, tearing through the air toward the defenders. However, Lyra and Silthar's combined magic managed to deflect most of the assaults, their barriers holding strong against the onslaught. In a daring move, Dravia directed a group of her elite guards to flank the defenders, hoping to break their line and push directly towards the portal. Gorn, anticipating this tactic, had positioned several of his most skilled fighters to intercept. The clash was fierce, and for a moment the outcome hung in the balance. Meanwhile, Elias spotted Dravia advancing towards the portal, her focus on breaking through Lyra's magical defenses. He quickly communicated this to Lyra, who adjusted her focus, strengthening the barriers directly in Dravia's path. The sorceress's frustration was evident as her powerful spells dissipated against the reinforced magical shields. As noon approached, the tide began to turn. The natural forces of the forest, influenced by Silthar's connection, started to react. Vines and roots entangled the feet of Dravia's mercenaries, and branches swayed to block the spells of her sorcerers. The forest itself was fighting back, defending its integrity against the invaders. Dravia, realizing her forces were faltering, gathered her remaining energy for one final, devastating assault. Her eyes ablaze with dark power, she chanted an ancient spell, the words echoing ominously through the woods. The air around the portal began to warp, the fabric of reality straining under the force of her magic. Silthar stepped forward, his form shimmering with an intense light. "No further," he declared, his voice resonating with the authority of his world. Joining hands with Lyra, they channeled a burst of combined energy, countering Dravia's spell with a powerful wave of pure, stabilizing magic. The clash of powers was blinding, and when the light faded, Dravia was found defeated, her energy spent. Her followers, seeing their leader overcome, lost their will to fight and began to retreat. The defenders of the portal cheered, their relief and joy mingling with exhaustion. They had protected the portal, and by extension, the balance of their world. Gorn clapped Elias on the back, a grin breaking through his battle-hardened demeanor. "We did it, scholar. We held the line." Elias looked around at the weary but victorious faces of his friends and allies. "We did more than that," he said, his voice filled with hope. "We've shown that unity and courage can prevail, even against the darkest of powers." As the defeated forces withdrew, the defenders began to tend to the wounded and repair the damage. The portal still pulsed gently in the heart of the Whispering Woods, a reminder of the mysteries and dangers that lay beyond. But for now it was secure, guarded by those who had proven themselves willing to fight for the balance of their world. The Battle of the Whispering Woods would be remembered as a day when the courage of a few stood against the ambitions of the many, ensuring the safety of their realms. It was a victory, not just of arms, but of hearts and minds, united in defense of their world. In the wake of the battle, the Whispering Woods seemed to exhale, its leaves whispering tales of the conflict now etched into its memory. The defenders, weary yet buoyed by their victory, began the task of healing and rebuilding. Elias walked among them, offering words of comfort and thanks to those who had stood firm against Dravia's forces. The damage to the woods was palpable: scorched earth, shattered trees, and the remnants of powerful magic still crackling in the air. Yet with Silthar's guidance, the natural balance began to restore itself. The being of many eyes worked closely with Lyra, teaching her how to mend the fabric of the forest, using a combination of her innate magical abilities and the deeper, more rhythmic energies of his world. Gorn, who had taken on the role of a leader more fully than he had ever anticipated, organized teams to patrol the area and ensure that no remnants of Dravia's forces attempted to regroup or launch a surprise attack. His respect for the diverse group of fighters that had rallied under his command grew each day, each individual's strengths contributing to the patchwork of their defense. Meanwhile, Dravia, captured and restrained with magical bonds that limited her ability to channel energies, was held under watchful eyes. Elias debated her fate with the councils of the realms, advocating for a trial that would not only judge her actions, but also seek to understand the deeper motivations behind her aggression. "We must learn from this," Elias insisted in the council meetings, "not only to prevent future conflicts, but to address the underlying issues that lead to such drastic measures." As these discussions unfolded, Silthar and Lyra continued their work at the portal. Their efforts to stabilize the tear had proven successful, but maintaining it required constant vigilance. Lyra's mastery of her powers grew daily under Silthar's tutelage, and a deep bond formed between the apprentice mage and the interdimensional guardian. One day, as they worked together weaving protective spells, Silthar paused, his gaze distant. "There is much about my world that could benefit yours," he mused, "and perhaps vice versa. This portal, rather than being a point of contention, could serve as a bridge for learning and exchange." Lyra smiled, her thoughts alight with possibilities. "Could we not set up an exchange program of sorts? Scholars, healers, even artists traveling between worlds to share knowledge and culture?" Silthar nodded, his many eyes sparkling with the prospect. "A council of worlds, perhaps, ensuring that the flow between our realms remains balanced and beneficial." The idea took root, and soon Elias presented it to the realm's leaders. The notion of a peaceful and mutually enriching interdimensional relationship was met with cautious optimism. Plans were made to establish protocols and safeguards for inter-realm travel, and a summit was scheduled to draft the first of these new interdimensional agreements. As the months passed, the portal area was transformed into a site of cultural exchange and diplomatic meetings. The once feared and contested gateway became a symbol of cooperation and unity, drawing visitors from across all realms, curious, hopeful, and eager to be part of this new chapter. Gorn, who had initially been skeptical of any lasting peace, found himself appointed as the chief of portal security, a role he accepted with gruff pride. "Never thought I'd see the day when I'd be guarding a door to another world," he chuckled to Elias one afternoon as they surveyed the bustling activity around the portal. Elias, his eyes reflecting the vibrant energy swirling through the gateway, nodded. "It's a new beginning, Gorn, for all of us." As the first delegation from Silthar's world arrived, a group of beings as diverse and wondrous as any tale told by the fireside, the people of Yorvin and beyond watched in awe. The future was uncertain, filled with challenges and opportunities, but for the first time in a long time, it shimmered with hope. A hope for peace, understanding, and the shared prosperity of all worlds connected by the once feared portal. The new Interdimensional Council was set to have its inaugural meeting under the ancient boughs of the Whispering Woods, where the portal gently hummed with tranquil energy. Representatives from various realms and worlds gathered, each bringing unique perspectives and hopes for this unprecedented collaboration. The area around the portal had been transformed into a neutral zone, designed to facilitate peace and understanding among all parties. Elias, who had been instrumental in organizing the council, felt a mixture of pride and nervous anticipation as he prepared for the opening ceremony. He adjusted the symbolic sash of unity, a gift from the elven delegates, as he reviewed his opening speech. "Today we not only bridge worlds, but also the distances between hearts and minds," he rehearsed quietly to himself, hoping his words would resonate with the diverse audience. Lyra, now appointed as the official ambassador of magical affairs, stood beside Silthar, whose presence was a reassuring reminder of the wonders and mysteries that lay beyond their own world. Her role was to ensure that the exchange of magical knowledge proceeded safely and respectfully, honoring all cultural and elemental laws involved. Gorn, meanwhile, oversaw the security arrangements with a meticulous eye. Despite the peaceful intentions of the council, he knew that not all were in favor of such open exchanges, and the risk of sabotage or protest was ever present. "No surprises, not on my watch," he muttered as he walked the perimeter, nodding to the guards who stood watch at strategic points. As the delegates began to arrive, a sense of historical significance permeated the air. Beings of various forms and sizes, some humanoid, others ethereal or elemental, greeted one another with gestures of peace from their cultures. A group of water beings from a liquid planet created soft ripples in the air as their form of applause, while a delegation from a volcanic world offered small, controlled bursts of warm air as signs of their greeting. Silthar introduced the first session, his voice resonating with the weight of many worlds. "We gather here not to claim dominion over one another, but to learn and grow together. Let this council be a testament to our shared destinies and mutual respect." The discussions that followed focused on several key areas: the establishment of interdimensional travel protocols, the exchange of educational resources, and the creation of a unified defense strategy to protect all worlds from potential threats. Each representative brought forward their proposals, debated with passion, but also a willingness to understand differing viewpoints. Lyra took the lead on the magical exchange program, proposing a series of educational symposiums and cross-training sessions. Magic in all its forms is a powerful tool, but also a profound responsibility. Let us share our knowledge in ways that enhance our abilities to protect and enrich our lives, rather than to dominate or destroy, she stated. Her proposal met with nods and murmurs of agreement. Elias facilitated a session on cultural exchanges, suggesting art, music, and literature festivals that could travel between worlds. Understanding each other's cultures deepens our empathy and enriches our own lives. These festivals could serve as the heartbeat of our shared experiences, he explained. As the sun set on the first day of the council, a celebratory feast was held. Food and entertainment from different worlds were shared, creating a vibrant tapestry of tastes, sounds, and sights. Laughter and music filled the air, forging bonds of friendship and camaraderie among the delegates. Underneath the starlit sky, Elias stood beside Silthar, watching the festivities. "Do you think this will work?" he asked, uncertainty coloring his tone for the first time in many days. Silthar, observing the joy and goodwill around them, replied with a serene smile. "It is like planting a garden, Elias. With care, respect, and patience, it will grow. And though some plants may falter, the garden as a whole will thrive." Encouraged by Silthar's words, Elias turned back to the celebration, his heart lighter. The Council of Worlds, born out of conflict and curiosity, now sowed seeds of hope. A hope for a future where the vastness of space and the differences between beings could be bridged by understanding, cooperation, and shared dreams. As the first rays of dawn lit the clearing of the Whispering Woods, the final day of the inaugural session of the Council of Worlds arrived. The atmosphere was one of hopeful determination, as delegates prepared to solidify the agreements and initiatives that had been discussed over the previous days. Elias, observing the assembly with a mixture of pride and relief, felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The dream of a united front among worlds, once just a flicker of hope in the darkness, was now becoming a reality. He adjusted his notes for the closing ceremony, aiming to capture the spirit of cooperation and the vision for the future. Lyra, vibrant and energetic, moved among the delegates, finalizing the details of the magical exchange program. Her efforts had not only been recognized, but celebrated, as her unique approach to blending different magical traditions offered new perspectives and solutions. "We're not just sharing knowledge, we're creating a new legacy," she explained to a young apprentice from another realm, her eyes alight with excitement. Gorn, standing a little apart from the bustling activity, watched the interactions with a quiet satisfaction. His initial skepticism had gradually given way to a cautious optimism. The security protocols he had devised were being adopted as a standard across the realms, creating a unified approach to protecting the portal and its users. "Maybe there's hope for us yet," he muttered to himself, a rare smile breaking through his usually stoic expression. Meanwhile, Silthar engaged in deep conversation with representatives from a realm known for its advanced understanding of interdimensional physics. Together, they explored possibilities for further stabilizing the portals, and perhaps even discovering new pathways between worlds. "Each realm holds a piece of the puzzle," Silthar noted, his voice thoughtful. "Together we can complete the picture." As the closing ceremony began, all present gathered around the portal, which shimmered softly in the morning light. a symbol of the unity and potential that the council represented. Elias stepped forward, clearing his throat slightly as he prepared to address the assembly. Friends and allies, we stand here today not as separate entities divided by vast distances and differences, but as members of a shared community. Elias began, his voice strong and clear. The Council of Worlds is no longer just an idea, but a reality, one that promises to enrich our lives and ensure our mutual prosperity and safety. Applause broke out, echoing through the trees as delegates from various worlds expressed their approval and support. Elias continued, "We have laid down the groundwork for a future where our children can grow up knowing that they are part of a larger cosmos, full of diversity and opportunities for learning and growth." Lyra then took the stage, detailing the upcoming exchange programs and inviting all realms to participate. Her speech was met with enthusiastic responses, as many were eager to engage in this new form of interdimensional cooperation. Gorn, too, was called upon to outline the security measures, his firm voice reassuring those concerned about the implications of such widespread connectivity. "Safety is our paramount concern," he assured the audience. "Together, we can protect and preserve the integrity of our worlds." Finally, Silthar closed the ceremony with a few words of wisdom. "This portal," he gestured towards the glowing archway behind him, "is a testament to what can be achieved when curiosity overcomes fear and collaboration overcomes isolation. Let us move forward with open hearts and open minds." As the delegates dispersed, many lingered to exchange farewells and promises of swift reunions. The clearing slowly emptied, leaving only the portal, standing quietly as a sentinel of the new era that had just begun. Elias, Lyra, Gorn, and Silthar stood together for a moment longer, watching the morning light dance through the leaves. "To the future," Elias said, lifting an imaginary glass. "To the future," they all echoed, their voices mingling with the whispers of the woods, carrying their hopes and dreams into the realms beyond.